Still on the war in Russian-Ukraine war, Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva is calling for peace in Ukraine from thousands of miles away. He's looking to create a coalition group called the G20 for Peace Group. And that's a group that will be made up of 20 countries who are neutral in the war. Now, to speak more on the Russian-Ukraine war and calls for peace coalition is international relations expert Uria Fancelli. Good to have you join us.
Hello, Precious. Thank you for the invitation. It's nice to be here.
So it will look like President Lula is trying to position himself as a possible mediating force in the conflict, and that he's back to claim a role in global politics. What's your thought on his latest coalition for peace?
I think it's very nice that we see that Brazil is back to the international scene, because as you may know, we've been a little bit absent for the past 4 years with former President Jair Bolsonaro. And Lula, he's always shown strong ambitions when it comes to, taking Brazil to the next level. He defends, for example, a reform at the United Nations Security Council. So in this sense, it's nice that he is, there's someone that he's trying to bring us back. But on the other hand, I think it may be a little bit too ambitious. Don't get me wrong, please. It's very important that you have some countries trying to defend peace worldwide, and most of the countries actually they try to they're more neutral when it comes to the war. A lot of them, they have voted for the condemnation of the invasion. For example, 140 countries, Nigeria, Brazil, and other countries have voted for the condemnation of Russia's invasion at the UN on the 24th of February. But at the same time, most of them are neutral because they still depend very strongly on China for trade. So at the same time that Lula tries to portray himself as someone who is trying to defend peace and get Russia and Ukraine to sit down and have a conversation, he's also a little bit taking Russia's side. For example, he was in China a few weeks ago, and
Ulla, I was just going to ask you about that just a minute, because while he was in Beijing, and that's what you're referring to, he did while he was speaking to reporters, he did say that U.S. should stop encouraging the war and start talking peace. And just a day or two after that, he later took a softer tone and condemned the violation of the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Is that something that you think that the world will take seriously when he has basically been flip-flopping on his stand in the Russian-Ukraine war?
Well, Precious, I think if you try to present yourself as someone who will negotiate and bring peace and get everyone to sit down and have a conversation, you need to actually be neutral. You can't just say it out loud. You need to act as a neutral country. And I don't think that's what President Lula did. He changed his position and he changed his tone after he began to be criticized by most of the Western countries. He went to Portugal a few days ago, maybe a week ago, and he also changed his tone when he was there, because he not only blamed the U.S. for the continuation of the war, but he also blamed the European Union. So what we see now is a softer version of our Brazilian president, and maybe if he continues this way, maybe we can get him to be successful on his plans of forming a group of countries that are neutral and are able to put some pressure so Russia and Ukraine can sit down and have a conversation. There's something we can never forget. There was a country that invaded, and there was a country that got that invaded. So we can never put them in the same level.
But assuming President Lula is able to get countries to sign up for the G20 for Peace Group, as he has called it, what are the prospects of negotiating a political solution?
I don't think it is something that it will happen so soon, or it is something that will have short-term effective results. But it's a start. I mean, no one else is trying to do anything similar. At the same time, yesterday we saw we had the first conversation between President Zelensky and Xi Jinping by phone. So that's also a good sign. China has so far called itself a neutral country, but we know and we see that China leans more towards Russia than to Ukraine. And now maybe things will start to change. And of course, we can never talk about having a group of peace without getting China, the world's second largest economy, involved. So if you can get Brazil, China, maybe Nigeria, because you're also the strongest economy and most populous country in Africa, all together and have a group of countries and put some pressure. Maybe that, I don't say that this is the solution, but at least it's a start.
Well, you mentioned Nigeria. We'll see how Nigeria and other countries respond to this. Thank you so much for talking to us. International relations expert, Uria Fancelli.
Thank you.